everybody. My name is Troublemaker.
And I'm Rangru.
And this is the 3v3 tournament of Glorious Design.
Hosted by PLF. Today we are doing the map Horus with PLF versus Day. So on the NATO side we have PLF, SikkeSakke, Hyo, and Judgemann.
And for the Day clan we have Airborne, Topspin2005, and Creeper.
So a NATO Unpacked match. We haven't seen a NATO on NATO match yet, which
It's coming.
so it's gonna come eventually.
I think there might be it's weird, 9 or 10 pack teams in this tournament.
Yeah. They get a lot more people been choosing to play pack this tournament in the ESL, which has been going on about over and over and over again, but it's just a bizarre new metagame sort of going on with all these MiGs being used now.
Yeah, and when you go on the actual server and you play an actual game, it's completely not like that. As most people who play in pubs are just not very good at pack.
Yeah. But yeah, I was quite surprised seeing so many people playing packed, because just after our ESL experience, it seemed like NATO was always ready to go, but these guys are playing it in such a good manner, and they are winning matches this way. I'm quite enjoying seeing the Soviet Russians win some, get some love.
Poland can have space too?
Yep, Poland cannot into space, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, a lot of units coming out from NATO at the moment. PLF getting quite a bit of ground forces, a lot more cheaper tanks. Hyo really getting the AMX-13 Harpoons, which is really awesome tank to get. A lot of infantry, quite a bit of infantry.
Actually, they're not the Harpoons, they're the Harpons.
Harpoon, potato.
I've made that mistake in the past, and one person's like, they're not harpoons, they are harpons.
It needs one more O to be a harpoon, I guess. But yeah, that's bloody troll for him. That's 300 points of harpons. So if we try and rush him into Echo, which is a really good idea, because Echo is CQC heaven because of all those shipping containers.
Yes, and you have to protect your shipping industry, or else you will not be able to get your Canadian maple syrup.
Yeah, and road can't go on without that, to be honest.
Marmite, I think. I looked it up, by the way.
You looked up Marmite?
I looked it up. You know what Marmite looks like? Vegemite. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing.
It's pretty much the same thing, yeah, but
that stuff's awful. That's just terrible.
You love it or you hate it, Troublemaker.
Oh.
Some people just happen to love it. Me.
Oh god. Why would you do this to yourself? I had an Australian exchange student, and he looked at us like we were stupid, and he's like, "You've never heard of Vegemite?" He started singing the commercials for it and stuff, and we were just like, everyone from Australia is lame. And then we tried it. It was just terrible. It was just bitter.
Bloody hell. Pat getting a lot of OSA AKMs and book AA. Really, all the AA being mostly radar based. We have a few Strellers or MTLB Strellers from 2005 Airborne, but just comparing NATO's starting package to Pact, it doesn't seem Pact doesn't have as much compared to NATO in terms of just amount. So maybe MiG spam?
Could be a MiG spam.
I know, it's just the suspense. Will it happen? Most likely yes. But the suspense of it might not happen is exciting.
What it might do, though, is if they do that, it might hurt them. Because they don't have a lot of ground forces right now.
Yeah. They
have a lot of on-the-ground anti-air, and then if they throw out the MiGs, then they might throw the game.
And NATO aren't bringing many helicopters, so MiGs won't have any targets to really shoot, unless NATO brings a few planes here. Oh, yeah.
And one of the nice things about Echo is that it's really, really long, and you can pretty much put infantry anywhere. Yep,
it has a lot of spread out infantry garrison points all around Echo, and the cargo containers do block line of sight as well.
And the big point is in the middle. There's a base just north of it, and if you can get into that base, you can stop a lot of reinforcements to the Foxtrot location. But that's
Mm-hmm.
fine. You can just, rally from your other spawn point.
Yeah, but it just shut down. If Captain Foxtrot completely shuts down the whole open field between Foxtrot and Hotel, which is quite big. Match has begun. 1 MiG-25 out so far. We have a Yak. It doesn't seem like the spam I was expecting.
It's a good choice on their part. The MiG spam is effective.
Very effective.
Against NATO that use a lot of planes. It's a very, very good way of abusing NATO. But it looks like PLF hasn't quite fallen for that play trap that everyone else seems to be falling for.
Yeah. And they are going to be moving up quite fast. SikkeSakke at top side, trying to get his Black Hawks into Charlie. That's not going to work because there's Iglas and Mi-24s. So if you really want to say hello.
There's a good napalm at the bottom. Actually going to stop a lot of infantry from coming forward.
Yep.
And PLF is just deploying those Delta forces up north.
Yep, and down on the bottom side still, they're too fat for airborne. Is going to have the Echo, a little crossroad base, completely under his control. Very good position here, I have to say.
Losing a few carriers here, but the nice thing about using these vehicles is that they can be very, very useful with that autocam with helping with the infantry.
Yeah.
And after the big infantry, the augers come in. They're bringing in what will probably be sappers. Or sorry, these are NATO. It'd be the Genie de Combat.
Genie de Combat.
I'm too used to pack versus pack now, which I never thought would ever happen.
Yeah, it's a complete change of style. We are still awestruck about. It does seem like bottom side NATO Ohio, he is getting a complete surround. He just has so many more units compared to Too Fat for Airborne, and all his harpoons are just doing amazing work. Just because they can just fire so bloody fast at all the infantry and do so much damage. Like those VDVs down bottom are just getting completely hammered by 76mm shot, by 76mm, 75mm shot.
And they should be able to get this crucial middle location secured, which means that their push into Foxtrot will be much, much better.
Yeah. Great. So they already have quite a bit of ground in Foxtrot. They have a few sappers and fusiliers moving around in the forest, and they did manage to catch a little right side buildings with a few Yag commandos. And yeah, just PLF going for a complete attack at the moment. There are no brakes on their train. They just keep on moving up.
And they still, it's crazy how well PLF's playing right now. They have a foothold in Charlie right now. They have a single TPZ Fuchs coming around the back trying to get some spotting information. They have the middle base basically is theirs. They have the bottom base completely theirs. And they're actually bleeding out the top plan.
Yep, which is always quite good.
Yep, always good to bleed at the top plan.
And there's a bit of action coming in. We do have some T-64s coming from the bottom side to try and clear up these AMXs and the infantry all around. All these Jaegers, pretty hard to really rout out.
Yeah, I mean, they once the T-64 gets a little bit closer, it's going to want to back off a bit because infantry at decent range can do some pretty brutal damage.
With good old little RPGs.
But so far it's working pretty well. Like good napalms, tanks coming in.
Oh, Airborne's playing the 75 deck, I just noticed. Yeah, it is, we've seen a lot of people play Pack 75. Like, the whole of Red was playing 75, bloody, Airborne now is playing 75. It's such an interesting playstyle to see, because not many people think 75 decks are very competitive, because they don't really have, technological advanced units.
Well, it's all those videos. That's the problem. People have a big giant lineup of 75 tanks, and then they'll die to a string of HE bombs.
Yeah.
And then they go LOL, and it gets such a bad name because of that. If you spread them out and you actually,
Mm-hmm.
use them to try and counter things cost effectively, it works out really well.
But I've been noticing, like, most people who are doing these 75 decks, they go for the infantry areas. They go infantry heavy because they have so much infantry at disposal that you can just throw them into the grinder and don't care what comes out on the other side. And that's probably why the MiG spam is so effective. Because you can get so many MiGs in a 75 deck. You can get bloody 4 MiG-21 BIS's Lazaruses, which are, like, probably my favourite short-range interceptor. It's just so crazy. I love it. I love this craziness that is starting to go on.
Yeah, just the mass numbers here from Airborne. Hio is actually going to have to resupply that sort of crossroad already, just because there's just so many of these Morskaya Pekota.
Yeah, it was a Russian Marines. You can just say Russian Marine.
Russian Marines.
It's Russian Marines, yep.
Okay.
So it's like American Marines, but Russian and without LAVs.
With one of their ridiculous macro Russian names.
Yep. Not as bad as Scandinavian names. Up top, we do have a bit of an attack here from PLF. SikkeSakke is moving in with a lot of GND combat. And, yeah. It's really its main attacking force for all these flamethrower infantry.
He's got a command in there neutralizing that point, so I mean, he's doing really good with this.
Yeah, he's taking that point usually quite hard, Charlie, because you have that whole no man's land and a bunch of infantry all garrisoned into that sector. But he is moving in there like there's absolutely nothing to stop him. He's doing a very good job at that.
Yeah, these napalm infantry are just so freaking good. There's almost nothing you can deploy against them other than your own napalm infantry.
Yeah.
They wiped out a VDV, which, theoretically should be the counter to a napalm squad. In, good numbers. And yeah, it's kind of brutal how good these Genie to combat are.
Yeah. Well, flamethrowers do a lot of damage against infantry if they do get up close, and they can also fire on the move with a flamethrower. And when you napalm an infantry squad, it usually blocks line of sight for a little bit while they're burning to death. So you do have that burn factor coming in, and that's what makes these guys so effective. And even they napalm in the Osa right at the moment.
Yeah, it's stunned. Like, this is actually going to be crazy effective. Could actually knock it out, hypothetically. They're actually forced to completely leave this point, giving a pretty well +5 lead right now to PLF, who, I really underestimated these guys.
Yeah.
Like, they were always, like, top 4 in a lot of tournaments. But, dear God, they've been playing phenomenally in this tournament.
Yeah, they've been doing really good now. Like, they played at run mats against Red where it didn't go too well. But now they're just kicking ass. Like, they're just moving right into day spawn and not giving them any leeway whatsoever. And Topspin, he had a bloody T-72 CV in Charlie, and now it's having to fall back.
You never see that.
I know. That's like a T-72 CV on a relatively usually unattacked area. It's not really super contested most of the time. And now SikkeSakke coming in with a bunch of reinforcements, Leopard 2 and more 8A, to secure the Charlie side once and for all.
Yeah, and they might even able to push into that 1-point base, that alpha base, because there's really, like, the only thing stopping them right now is a couple of cavalry tanks.
BMP 685s.
And a 1-point command,
And a Tunguska. And they bring up a Bontino now. A burrito.
A burrito, yeah.
A burrito. I think most people just call it burrito instead of Bontino. Because a lot of people do like Mexican food. Makes food outside it's Mexican, but I'm not going to try and be politically correct about that. But yeah, the burrito firing its napalm at the napalm infantry, or the irony, and they're going to start feeling the burn.
Well, God, we're going to get sued by, like, the Punisher very quickly. He's going to be very upset by the really bad puns in this matchup.
Oh, it's fine. You know me, my puns. They're ice cool.
British Book of Humor. Or was it The Simpsons? The British Book of Crooked Smiles. teach Lisa Simpson that she needs braces.
Oh, yeah, that episode.
The Buratino moved back immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Funny enough, he kind of stopped. He didn't bring it all the way to the FOB, which to me, like the clear choice.
Would to do that? I don't know.
Instead, he just kind of
Oh, he's getting supply trucks, resupply, whatever.
Yeah, it just seems kind of like a waste, considering how close that FOB is.
We do have some Jaegers from SikkeSakke flanking up top, and he's getting a very good view over all the enemies at the moment. You can see the Bernardino and all the tanks. Yes, are in the open between Alpha and Charlie. Just going really well for PLF. If they keep us up, they're going to win in a few minutes.
Oh yeah, normally a bleed is like +1.
Mm-hmm.
And that usually means you'll win in like 20-25 minutes. If it's
yeah,
consistent.
and it's a long drawn out match.
Yeah, this is a +5, and this is, you know, I actually thought Top would do a lot better than this.
Yeah.
They haven't played in competitive play for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But dear God, this is very underwhelming for them. Yeah, they actually haven't really got many places they can contest right now. Their best bet, of course, is Echo, but that's very slow. You can't just
really slow area to contest.
You can't just rush across there. That just does not happen.
Yeah, like at middle point of Echo, where those buildings on the top part of Echo are, you don't get past yet. You never get past that side in Echo. Because the enemy team usually has like the road ATGM'd up, so you can't really move in for Echo at all. Most of the time it's just both teams contesting the point on either side, making a little bit of a drag.
Yeah, now there's a group of 45 infantry in the Foxtrot base, and there's about 40 sappers. No, sorry, that's 20 sappers.
Yeah, there's sappers.
Yeah.
And a few fusiliers.
So not sappers in French.
No, this is sappers in French, sappers in Cyrillic.
And they were able to neutralize that point. They have another giant group of 40 infantry at the top. But, I mean, with these sappers and fusiliers moving around the way they are, that command shouldn't last too much longer.
Mm-hmm. But we do have a lot of mortars being brought in from Airborne, who's going to be trying and sniping that Hio's AA at the bottom side. Doing a pretty good job at that, but yeah, it's going to be over in absolutely no time. Oh, up top A10 SikkeSakke. Oh, he gun run to Barentino. Oh, I love it when an A10 does its gun run, because the sound of it is great. Like, just the sound of an A10 firing, even in real life, it's bloody mesmerizing to hear it go off.
I always imagine it sounding like a mosquito, like
kind of like a buzzing of like a bee or something in this game.
I mean, the last real line of defense for Topspin is that group of tanks. They've all been spotted. They're all being fired on by Mountaineers and Leopard 2A4s, and
not good.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna lose. That's gonna happen. But I mean, it can get worse if they can push through to that Alpha base. Because the funny thing with an Alpha base is the way it's kind of set up. If you can grab that Alpha base and actually secure it with a base, you can actually back attack Bravo as well. Like it just snowballs very quickly.
It's like once you get the enemy back zone, it's usually just good time to surrender and leave.
Trust me, I'm a bad player. I know these things.
I can agree with that.
Like every game I play is with like some either professional or competitive player, and they always find new ways of teaching me how bad I am.
Yeah, that's why you play with friends and not with pubs.
But I don't have any friends.
I can be your friend.
Oh my God, I have a friend.
I know. What I do for charity.
Oh,
but yeah, a good match from PLF. Pretty close on kills on both sides.
Yeah, it's just the positioning and the. I think a big part of the problem for Day was that they had a lot of units that were just sitting around doing nothing
Yeah, it's
in the back a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And PLF kind of front-loaded a lot of their units.
Yeah, and I think like they didn't bring out many units at the start. I'm not really sure why. I think I got a lot more AA than I really needed today, so they didn't really have much of the ground stompy units to really push up. And PLF destroyer and moved right in.
Yes, they did.
And yeah, I'm Rangru.
And I'm Troublemaker.
Take it easy.